Niloufar Shahid is Pakistan's leading fashion designer, belonging from a prestigious Pathan family of warriors, poets, writers and painters. But she held her own and stood tall, very tall. She is a trendsetter in many ways. She launched Miras in 1991. Her fashion house is the only one in Pakistan to work on profound themes with extensive research. She has explored art in various ways and has blended history, poetry and art into a wearable garment. Also, she was the first designer to promote and believe in the Pakistan Institute of Fashion and Design. She was awarded a prestigious award by the French government for her contributions in the development of art, culture and fashion design. She has designed for many people from all over the world. Jerry Blair, Princess Haifa, Princess Noura of Saudi Arabia, Jemima Goldsmith, the pop star Madonna and Countess Martha Marzotto, Benazir Bhutto, Princess Diana, and of course me. It was after ages that we sat together and talked like this. A friend I am so proud of. A friend who has been breaking norms since the very beginning. आज की मेहमान है नीलोफर शाहिद. फैशन डिज़ाइनर है, लेकिन सबसे मुख्तलिफ. किसी और ही रंग और ढंग से वो फैशन डिज़ाइन करती हैं. मैं वेलकम करती हूँ नीलोफर शाहिद को. Niloufar Shahid, thank you so much for coming to the show. So I think I'll take you back when you were young.
Thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to spend this time with you. Actually,
and we haven't done that in a long time. I think it's saal ho gaye since we've sat down and talked to each other.
I think we've both been so busy in our journeys.
Yeah.
And being mothers and wives and so many roles we have to play. So. But anyway, it's always there.
Yeah, I think it's ज़रूरी था कि we reconnect. कहाँ पैदा हुए थे नीलोफर?
I was born in Karachi.
I never knew that. अच्छा.
My father was in the Air Force.
अच्छा.
Actually, so we were there, and I think I was 5 or 6 when we moved to Punjab.
अच्छा.
So it's I
Armed forces में तो सारे लोग travel करते हैं.
I love. Karachi, and for the great time I spent with my parents there.
And how many brothers and sisters are you?
We are 7 altogether.
और सबसे बड़े कौन हैं?
सबसे बड़े भाई हैं. Then we are 4 sisters, then a brother, and then another youngest sister.
अच्छा.
So we are 5 sisters and 2 brothers.
And कैसा घर था? किस किस्म की खाने की मेज़ पर डिस्कशंस होती थी? आप लोग सारे शरारती बहुत थे, because I know वो एयरफोर्स का जो एरिया है वहाँ के दरख्त.
मौरीपुर, हाँ. We lived in Mauripur and then we moved to KDA.
ठीक है.
So then my father retired and then he was wanting to start his own business. So we were there for a bit. Then we moved to Gujranwala and ये वो.
अच्छा.
Family as a family, I think we had a wonderful childhood. My father loved his children and he was like a friend, a mentor, and so many things. I mean, I think that breed of men you don't find much anymore. And he hails from Isa Khail, which is the Niazi clan, and very educated. He was double MA, and then he joined the Royal Air Force, and then in the Pakistan Air Force.
Achha.
So. The Sundays were for our children, for his children, and he used to, in Karachi, he used to take us to the beach and then take us to some restaurant or Metropole Hotel. So those memories are and then he would take us to museums and such historical places. And I think that is what I imbibed as a child. And he would tell us about history and about our family's history. So वो history का जो शौक था या उसको I used to get very fascinated. So जब हम लाहौर भी आ गए तो फिर हमें यहाँ पे मुझे हमेशा से कुछ पता नहीं कुछ होता था ऐसी जगहों पे जाके. So I think he died when I was only 15. Oh. So but I feel that the kind of love our parents gave us sustains us till today. That's what I feel. Ammi was very Ami came from a conservative family, Lahore ki, and but people thought, she had just done her metric from Queen Mary's, but people thought she's very educated and कोई MA शमे किया हुआ है, शेर व शायरी भी करनी और इस तरह के. अब बाकी भी जब फ्रेंड्स इकट्ठे होते थे या फैमिली, तो उनकी गुफ्तगू खैर शायद इतनी समझ नहीं आती थी, पर बड़े इंटेलेक्चुअल एंड वो शेर व शायरी एंड दे वर, एंड माय father and my chacha were the most well dressed in the family, so सारे cousins उनको follow करते थे. Very good looking man, and so
what kind of a girl were you? A shy girl?
Shy girl.
Hiding behind the curtains? You are out there?
No, I was a very not introvertish. We were, since we were 7 siblings, तो हम लोग काफ़ी रहता था, लेकिन ये था कि I was not a very outgoing, मतलब उस तरह का नहीं था, मेरा नेचर नहीं था. I was more of a dreamer always, and I used to read books like from comics to classics. I was always with a book.
और कहाँ मिलती थी आप अम्मी को? किसी टेबल के नीचे या हाँ?
इतना तो याद नहीं है, but अम्मी was she had very tough rules in the house.
अच्छा.
So the table manners, eating with the fork and all, तो हमें फिर उस पर मार्क्स भी मिलते थे कि अच्छा आज कोई नीचे नहीं गिराया, कुछ नहीं किया.
अच्छा.
तो वो बहुत ज़्यादा उस तरह का उनका नेचर था कि बच्चों को बहुत उस तरह, कभी खुद तो बैठ के नहीं पढ़ाया, बट वी ऑल डिड वेरी वेल इन आवर स्कूल्स एंड कॉलेजेस. सो बड़े भाई थे, ही वाज द मोस्ट पैम्पर्ड, एंड ऑफ कोर्स द डॉग. हमने तो कभी ऊंची आवाज़ माँ बाप के घर में नहीं सुनी थी. दे वर ऑल, इट वाज सच अ like how can I explain, it was just an ideal wonderful home.
खाने की मेज़ पे क्या डिस्कशन होता था? Were you allowed to discuss anything you wanted, or did he ask you questions and Ammi asked you?
हाँ, नॉर्मल सा ही था.
चुप रहना होता था?
नहीं, चुप तो हाँ बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं, शुरू में बचपन में तो
ज़्यादा.
हाँ जी. बाद में तो it was more of a हल्ला गुल्ला and everybody talking, and so
what number are you in
I'm bang in the middle. I'm 3 बड़े 3 छोटे हैं मुझसे जी.
वो भी बड़ी स्पेशल जगह होती है. हाँ, क्योंकि बड़े हो गए वो तो जिम्मेदार हो गए ना, और छोटे छोटे जो दरमियान में you can get away with a lot of So did you get away with a lot?
I was not a very naughty child, to be honest. अपने बस लगे रहते थे somehow.
So नीलोफर क्या ख्वाब देखती थी?
I don't know how to explain that, but since I was so much into reading of every kind.
Did you start collecting at that age?
Yeah, I had a lot of books.
And
लेकिन जहाँ भी जाती थी, कहीं घर से बाहर भी जाना, तो कहीं कोई किसी की बुक ही उठा के बस.
Books के अलावा
क्या?
So
I was not very. People thought I was very quiet. With my friends, I was very, like we used to talk. Otherwise, I would not say a word. So वो senior girls जो होती थी ना स्कूल में, या समझती थी इसको, तो मतलब she can't, वो बोलती नहीं.
So you were actually absorbing. You were listening and you were learning.
Yeah, I had that thing. I notice things, observe very deeply. So
because if you were not observing, the way your clothes are, we will discuss that, but it shows that you have seen, you've understood, you've actually absorbed and observed,
I think so, yes.
Iski journey jo hai.
Unless you have that, how should I call it, the third eye, or if you're observant, like I'm sure in your profession also, you must be really deeply looking into human beings and their behavior and all. So I was more fascinated by art of every kind. Even architecture fascinated me, because I feel that's a very profound aspect of any culture. कोई भी कल्चर का आप जाके देखते हैं तो आप सबसे पहले आर्किटेक्चर से आपको अंदाज़ा होता है उनका कितने वो deeply into art थे. That kind of thing. When I went to Samarkand, Bukhara, the frescoes on the walls and the arches and ये. So इस तरह का बहुत ज़्यादा मैं मतलब समझें कि मिसाल के तौर पे when I was doing, I got very fascinated by Islamic calligraphy, and I realized that Muslims are the sole inheritors of this great art. So मैंने इतना उसको obsessively I researched and
ये
studied.
कॉलेज में?
No, sorry.
Later,
this is
later.
later about when my
कॉलेज में क्या पढ़ा?
I was, I was one of the top students, so I was expected to do medicine, go into medicine. So I, after school, which is our final 5 years, was in Queen Mary's, because my mother was a Queen Marian, our family, and my nani was one of the first 5 girls of Queen Mary's. So
emphasis on education was always there.
Gee, my
Sare
mother
bache,
was, very. My father was not there anymore, but my mother was very keen that. So I did FSc from Kinnaird in medicine, and then my mother somehow, I don't know, maybe I was not ordained to be a doctor. So she said, "Nahi, di aankhan kamzor ne," because I had used to wear glasses, I still do. So I just did plain BSc. So my brother said, "Ki acha BSc to kar lo," which I hated doing, to be honest, because all my friends were in
humanities.
So, but I did my BSc, and in 4th year I got engaged and married as soon as I graduated.
You were already married. Did you paint as a young girl?
I used to paint. I love painting.
And what did you draw?
Mostly portraits. And बहुत शौक था मुझे. I'm good because with my science projects you had to do a lot of drawings.
अच्छा.
So अपनी भी करती थी और friends की भी करती थी.
And you would make people sit in front of you and draw them.
Or just if they're sitting, I would start drawing, Somehow, I don't know why, into portraits. But
because they're fascinating. Because human face has so many contours,
Exactly.
उसकी वजह से ना.
So many facets to a personality.
And future में तो आपने फिर dress करना था ना उनको.
If I had not been a designer, I might have been an artist. One of my sisters is an artist.
अच्छा.
So वो थोड़ा सा, there is some, और हमारे जो बड़े हैं, even like from my father's side, my mother is a Kashmiri, they are artistic people, but मेरे father की side से काफ़ी लोग paint करते थे. तो I think कुछ है genes में. So, I love to do the shading, the contouring, or वो बड़ा मुझे fascinate करता था. First one to start block printing in Lahore. और वो भी बड़ी अजीब कहानी. My sister was here from Switzerland, so मैंने उनको पकड़ा और कुछ 10 जोड़े लिए, गर्मियाँ थी.
And what time ये ज़िंदगी के किस डगर पे मोड़ पर आया ये काम के मैं कपड़ों में डिज़ाइन करूँ, मैं कपड़ों को देखूँ गौर से?
Samina is a long journey. It's an evolution from one thing to another.
ये कॉलेज के फौरन बाद हुआ?
I never had any aspirations to be a designer.
अच्छा.
हाँ. After I got married, so there used to be very interesting melas in HSN College.
अच्छा.
So वो stalls होते थे. तो me and my sister-in-law, we just took a stall and we made small things like छोटे-छोटे bags और इस तरह के. So I discovered some women, poor women who would do crochet. So I did crochet shawls and कुछ इस तरह की interesting चीज़ें मैंने बनाई. मुझे बड़ी fascinate करती थी वो 3-cornered shawls उस ज़माने में. So वो they were received very well. So 2-3 साल हम ये करते रहे, and then my husband's khala is an artist, Taira, and she came to Lahore. She lived in Karachi at that time, and she said, "Why don't you?" I went to even before I got married. We went to Karachi, and my khala lived next door to Noorjahan Bilkarami.
अच्छा.
So वहाँ शादी थी, and हम सारे उठ के ना साथ वाले घर उनका देखने गए काम, and I got so fascinated, and the setup she had was so nice, and the motives and the bootiयाँ, पुरानी वो सारी, पता नहीं वो शायद दिल में रह गया, तो मुझे बड़ा शौक चढ़ा.
That was block printing.
Block printing. So my khala said, Shahid's khala said, "Why don't you start something like that?" Because nobody in Lahore was doing it. So I was the first one to start block printing in Lahore. और वो भी बड़ी अजीब कहानी. माई सिस्टर वॉज है फ्रॉम स्विट्ज़रलैंड, सो मैंने उनको पकड़ा और कुछ 10 जोड़े लिए, गर्मियाँ थी. सो किसी ने कहा कि मोची दरवाज़े, तो गाड़ी वहाँ रुकी और मोची दरवाज़े में वो कपड़े उठा के हम चलते 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 आगे है एंड वी एंडेड एट मोहनी रोड. तो वहाँ पे वो शामियाने और चादरें प्रिंट करते थे. तो उनको जब मैंने कहा कि जी हमने सूट प्रिंट मैंने कराने, तो वो कुछ they were smirking कि ये क्या करने आ गई है. So I took out the blocks and I sat down and I started designing. तो कागज़ पेंसिल पकड़ा, फिर वो हर जोड़े के साथ उनके ब्लॉक्स निकाल के, it's a whole process. कि इस पे ये कर दो, ये कर दो, ये कर दो, and they turned out quite interesting and I was really fascinated. So eventually I got my own workers and I was designing my blocks from old like shawls में से patterns लेना, carpets में से लेना.
तो रिसर्च शुरू हो गई.
And वो झंग से आता था आदमी, मुझे अभी तक याद है, और वो इतनी फाइन वो ब्लॉक्स बनाता था. अभी तक लोग याद करते हैं सारे वो मेरे ब्लॉक प्रिंटेड. एंड आई लव दैट आर्ट बिकॉज इट्स सो इंडिजिनस बेसिक एंड फिर आस्ता आस्ता मैंने इनकॉर्पोरेट किया हैंड पेंटिंग. And I was also the first person to start hand painting in fabric के ऊपर. And then I started innovating with block prints and hand painting as to the basic fabric के क्या करना है. वो कभी चिकन पे कर रही हूँ, बीच में शीशे लगा रहे हैं, कोई बुकैश हो रही है. So it was, I always have this, this कीड़ा कह लें कि वो डिफरेंट करना है कुछ. So it should not be the typical एक वो. तो उसमें फिर मैं different fabrics I used to find and then embellish it with differently also. थोड़ी embellishment भी start करी. So I did that for years and I loved doing it and I would still want to revive it with my work.
और ये फिर ये जो सारा आइडिया है कि फैशन के अंदर आप you're bringing in poets, you're bringing in, culture, I mean of different regions and motives, और ये किस तरह दिमाग में आया?
मैंने ये नोटिस किया कि मेरे इर्द गिर्द लोगों को, हम लोग थोड़े with due respect, we were very complexed at that time and we were so fascinated by the West, but we did not treasure our own heritage or culture. We were not proud of who we are, unfortunately. तो मुझे उसकी बड़ी तकलीफ होती थी. And I said कि we have such a wealth of treasures of art in our mitti and our souls, and everywhere you look it's beautiful. So I said I don't want to use imported material. I don't want to do anything with you look at the Western designers just to acknowledge their work or appreciate it or to take some kind of inspiration, but it was like a mission for me. It was like I was this fighter on a battleground, and I never thought, and I used to say, will people ever understand what I'm trying to do? It did not start as a thought out thing, but it was my own passion for the world to recognize who we are. And hence I started in 91 I started the House of Miraz. अच्छा, नाम के हवाले से भी इंटरेस्टिंग है कि जब मैं नाम सोच रही थी तो कभी कोई भाई मेरा कहे ट्रेडिशंस रख लो, कोई अंग्रेज़ी नाम, ये वो. मैंने कहा नहीं, मैंने लुगत लेके ना तो उसमें से ढूंढने शुरू किए. So there, since initially I took a stand, because my philosophy was different. It was my own and I wanted to propagate our own image. So मैंने कहा कि मैंने मीरास रखना है. उस पर काफ़ी वो
लेदे हुई
बड़ी हुई. हाँ, but I stuck to my guns. The one thing I discovered along the way was that I may have been a very mild person, but when it came to my work, I became very fierce inside, you know.
Headstrong.
I headstrong or going in a direction which I wanted to go. So it never, nothing moved me कि अगर ये कोई कर रहा है या वो कुछ और कर रहा है तो मैं भी ऐसे कर लूँ. वो तो मेरा एक प्रॉब्लम है कि मैं वो चीज़ नहीं कर सकती जो दुनिया कर रही है. One is a miniature artist. बड़ी बेटी मेरी जो है फातिमा, she worked with me initially for quite some time.
How many children do you have?
I have mashallah 4 children.
और आप
Two
किसी
boys,
को
2
किसी ने
girls.
इनहेरिट किया है?
They are very creative, all of them. One is a miniature artist. बड़ी बेटी मेरी जो है फातिमा, she worked with me initially for quite some time. Remember Czechoslovakia ने एक इंटरव्यू करने आए थे तो फातिमा मॉडल आपने करवाया था. तो खैर बेटे मेरे दोनों ही बड़े क्रिएटिव हैं, बट अभी छोटा जो है he's planning to come with me, come and work.
join with you.
जी. So I hope so. बेटियां अब अपने अपने बच्चे, छोटे छोटे बच्चे उनके घरों में, so I don't want to disturb.
They have an artist in them.
जी, definitely. Even मेरा जो बड़ा बेटा हसन, he's joined me for a while, not fully, but and I used to look at him and he used to suggest अच्छा ये कर लें, men's कुर्ताज हम डिज़ाइन कर रहे थे. I said you start a men's line. And he was talking about burning the fabric and painting, and I was looking, I said, Hassan, how the hell do you know, mashallah, इतने creative बातें. So they're all creative in है, but अभी तक as such nobody's joined me, unfortunately. I hope.
What do you collect? Do you collect furniture? Of course you collect books, I know that, but do you collect furniture?
मुझे पुराने टेक्सटाइल से बहुत इश्क है. कहीं भी जाओ तो यू नो पुराने वो चोगे हैं या सेंट्रल एशिया गए उनकी जैकेट्स हैं या इवन
टर्की में भी बहुत पुरानी चीज़ें मिलती हैं.
हाँ. सो दैट इज वाज माय, जैसे औरतें ज्वेलरी बनाती हैं, मैं ये चीज़ें कलेक्ट करती थी.
एंड
शॉल्स, यस, शॉल्स हैं मेरी अच्छी.
एंड घर का इंटीरियर आपका ऑफ कोर्स इज अ मिक्सचर ऑफ मुगल
and French,
Raj,
I can
and
say.
French, and now French. I haven't seen it recently, so
you have to come and see it. So I've done some hand painting on the walls and some embroidered panels and ये, no, because उनके भी interiors में उनकी मैं windows जाके देखती हूँ, इतनी artistic होती हैं. I mean the way they do things, and they coming back to being proud of who they are and the way they give a little twist or an edge to anything they do.
तो ब्यूटी क्या है?
Lies in the eyes of the beholder, definitely.
कलर्स कौन से बहुत अट्रैक्ट करते हैं पहली नज़र में? You go for it.
मेरा हमेशा से सॉफ्टर टोन्स हैं, जैसे सॉफ्ट जेड्स एंड लाइट कॉरल्स के साथ, जैसे सॉफ्ट very washed colors I like, and a mix of those. It's very important that let's say you are wearing or you have this, let's say if you go for a color combination, then there's कोई ऐसा element होना चाहिए जो थोड़ा उसको एक different चीज़ दे दे. So I'm wearing black today, but I'm not a very black colored person. I love off-whites and ecru's and इस तरह का मेरा अपना palette है, personal. Somehow I feel good in it, and but जो classic colors हैं, I think it मेरा तो ये कि it changes with the seasons or the moods also. Like right now I'm very much into the dull jade greens and the विंटर का जो एक ग्रीन होता है ना, डार्क, वो जो विंटर ग्रीन होता है, ग्रीन्स पे somehow fascination.
Why do women wear jewelry? Have you ever thought about it? हम क्यों पहनते हैं jewelry?
I think that instinct to make yourself more beautiful has always been there.
Because
and
मैं कभी-कभी
jewelry is an adornment which really does make you look.
It adds to you.
It adds to you.
I think
it adds to the garment.
Sometimes I feel कि अल्लाह ने जो कायनात में परिंदे बनाए हैं, और अगर आप देखें तो वो कितने सजे हुए होते हैं,
हाँ बिल्कुल,
है ना.
बिल्कुल.
आई थिंक मे बी हम somehow मुझे लगता है कि शुरू के इंसानों ने देखा अपने इर्द गिर्द सारे जानवरों, परिंदों को, फूलों को,
आप मोर को देखें,
फूलों
फूल को
इवन
देखें,
फ्लावर्स कि उनमें इतना कलर्स. सो आई थिंक दे थॉट कि हमारे पास तो कोई कलर ही नहीं है.
हाँ,
You know, we are so pale or plain or you know,
Maybe,
so boring.
yeah.
है ना. मुझे ये लगा कि बेबी इंसान ने जब अपने इर्द गिर्द इतनी ब्यूटी, इतना कलर देखा, तो आई थिंक वो कलर ओढ़ना शुरू कर दिया. To be, I think, one with the universe.
Yeah, and maybe they slowly discovered कि how colors make you look
Yeah.
beautiful.
And then of course फिर वो pebbles मिले होंगे, फिर ज्वेलरी बननी शुरू हो गई फिर, है ना.
जी.
So I think it's all about the whole idea to be like
Sometimes
birds.
I do wonder how
है
it
ना?
all happened. You
And I
know?
also wonder कि कलर्स कहाँ से आए और फिर गारमेंट्स किस तरह बने और किस तरह
Exactly.
सोचा और you know.
अल्लाह ने अशरफुल मखलूक़ात बनाया. I think ये जो
I think
evolution
because
हुई है,
what you did
आस्ता
was
आस्ता.
observe, you know, just look at your eyes, what you observed and you picked up from history, from art.
But that was always the
and
passion.
I think this is what we all have been doing.
You
Looking
बिल्कुल,
around
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
and getting inspired.
हाँ.
जिंदगी क्या है?
जिंदगी वैसे बहुत बड़ा इम्तिहान है. I mean, I'm not saying it in a negative manner because we are here to.
Why do you say इम्तिहान है?
I think है क्योंकि now at this age I feel that I've gone through so much और I see people around me और इतना कुछ हमारे साथ हो रहा होता है. It's how I think it all relates to your faith in God. And if you have that faith and you इम्तिहान ये है कि हमें तो सही रास्ते पे जाना है, रखना है ना अपने आप को. So if you deviate and that's you get these ये इम्तिहान आते रहते हैं हर वक्त. And if you have a strong belief or a faith, or your faith in God is there, then I think personally, like I would say, it's not easy to be on the right path.
To be
it's
good
tough.
all the time.
It's not that you're pretending to be good. It is that you should
Becoming a more softer, gentler, kinder human being.
but stronger.
But stronger.
बच्चे होते हैं जब हम यंग थे, टीनेजर्स थे, बड़ी बेवकूफ़ियाँ की, सब कुछ आस्ता आस्ता सीखते हैं. देन एक अपने अंदर भी आपको एक आपकी जो है सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट कह ले या वो भी आपकी स्ट्रॉन्गर होती है आस्ता. You know, you realize your own and why you're here in this world. What is required of you? So there was this spiritual turning which took place in my life within. And hence I did the Umar Khayyam collection. So it relates to my own journey. You know, your spiritual awakening hoti hai.
I can see that journey. Like you know, if you follow from block prints and noticing every motive. That's where you start, you know. Those motives take you to that journey. Because ये motives है ना जब आपको लेके निकलते हैं. पहले तो आपका ritual है, it's very ritualistic, motives हैं.
It's a whole pattern.
And pattern है, उस pattern के और life है ही एक pattern.
बिल्कुल.
You know, उसमें से निकलते हैं, look what you've achieved, look at the detail. So as a human being, what has it done for you?
It has made me, I think, to value relationships more than anything. First of all, I would say. I may be doing sort of a business and ye wo, but making money is not the ultimate for me. So it's always been more, I've always been very grounded and I feel that for me the relationships around me are more important. So it's अगर कुछ बिजनेस ख़त्म भी होगी नहीं मिली तो कोई बात नहीं, शायद इसी में अल्लाह की बेहतरी है. सो दैट थिंग कि अल्लाह की बेहतरी है जिस चीज़ में, बस उसमें अगर आपका फेथ है, आप खुश हैं, कंटेंट हैं.
Do you ever regret? Do you ever look back and say मैं इरेसर से मैं ये मिटा दूं या मैं इसको चेंज कर दूं?
Believe it or not, might sound cliched, but there are always regrets in life, but they're not important anymore. Because I think where I stand today within myself and how I look at myself, and I feel कि अल्लाह का शुक्र है, बहुत अल्लाह का करम, and I
So they made
have
you
no
who you are
regrets.
today. वो इम्तिहान थे. Those were little tests in life, and then
Always.
you only got better and
Always,
better.
always.
है ना? वो
You
जैसे
read-
ना वो
you
सोना
read
कुंदन
Paulo
बन जाता है.
Coelho, you just go through all these, you know, you see, feel कि क्या running after, I should say, material things is not what you really, it's how you value yourself and how you look at things, how you value, nurture relationships around you, how you know, you do not have to be praying all the time.
Yeah.
I feel it's how, like he says, you treat your people, his people. And that's what we are going to be judged for. And it's, I mean, we are इंसान है, खाकी इंसान है, बहुत खताकार है. But I'm also the least judgmental person. I think being an Aquarian, I've always been like that, live and let live wala na. So I never judge people. मतलब मुझसे I always say कि हाँ कोई reason होगा उसका, उसने ये किया या कुछ है, अच्छा उसने ऐसे किया, वो बड़ा ख़राब है या बड़ा ये है. नहीं, unless कि you really get hit by something which is really not, you know, commendable at all. लेकिन ये है कि I think I'm very much at peace with myself, and that comes when Allah gives you that strength, and you're happy and content with who you are. House where there was a death, and they said, "Hai, bada dar lagta hai." And I turned around, and to be very honest, very candidly, very honestly, I said, "But I'm not scared of death."
What is death? Have you ever thought कि ये this great minds and the creativity and the excitement and the energy of a human being, whatever, you know, like your dad or your mom, and where did that go? What happened? Death क्या है? Do you ever wonder? Do you understand it?
I think so, in my own way, in my own manner. That this is something which we all experience, will experience, and have experienced. But believe it or not, like for example, there was a group of women sitting, and actually sitting at a house where there was a death, and they said, "Hai, bada dar lagta hai." And I turned around, and to be very honest, very candidly, very honestly, I said, "But I'm not scared of death. I want to go and meet my Creator. I want to experience it." And it's true. This is how I feel. I'm not scared of death. इतना पता है समीना कि कभी किसी का बुरा नहीं सोचा. So that peace which comes, I have not manipulated और किसी का बुरा नहीं सोचा. किसी ने बुरा किया, रास्ता का मोड़ लिया.
So जब तकिए पे सर रखा तो सुकून से सो
गए. ये बहुत अल्लाह का करम है. पता नहीं मेरी कोई माँ बाप भी ऐसे ही थे, वैसे बहुत ही प्यारे, बड़े forgiving, बड़े loving. So it's basically you forgive, you move on. अगर किसी ने बुरा किया वो खुद अल्लाह को जवाब देगा. लेकिन किसी के लिए बुरा सोचा नहीं, वो टाइम ही नहीं, नेगेटिव एनर्जी नहीं वहाँ पे लगाई. So believe it or not, I look forward to that day.
That you will be standing because you created so much, you see. Yes, because
but you have created in your own manner with
you know,
set
can you imagine
another
the satisfaction कि आप जा रहे हैं क्रिएटर के सामने खड़े हैं एंड आपके हाथों ने काम किया, आपके दिमाग ने काम किया, आपकी आंखों ने ऑब्जर्व किया है वो whatever has been created. Can you imagine how happy you are?
Yes.
And how proud you are?
That.
I can understand
one
that.
Day, जैसे हमारा एक मौलवी कल्चर है, with due respect, तो वो कई लोग या हमारी इग्नोरेंस कह लें तो हम कहते थे कि जो पेंट करते हैं या जो मतलब वो स्कल्पचर बनाते हैं उनको तो अल्लाह का कहर होगा और ये होगा. So I used to think that, you know, what I'm doing is it wrong? So I have a habit of opening the Quran just like that, and I have my questions and I get the answers, believe it or not. ये अल्लाह हर एक से बात करता है through this also. So I came across this line and says that God loves people who, it's in the Quran, God loves people who create because he's a creator himself.
Wow.
बस उस दिन के बाद सुकून आ गया.
Yes.
It was so beautiful.
अल्लाह खूबसूरत है, खूबसूरती को पसंद करता है.
हाँ, how can he not? I mean, why is he letting us do it then? I mean, like,
so what you're doing is you're creating beauty. You're exploring. है कोई जो गौर व फिक्र करे, तो आपके काम में गौर व फिक्र भी आपने सोचा है, आपने फिक्र की है कि अच्छा ये कैसे होगा. So जो लोग गौर व फिक्र करते हैं अपने काम में, अपने लोगों के लिए, अपने इर्द गिर्द इंसानों के लिए, I think they are blessed.
You know, people say you are like an ambassador for Pakistan. I said yes. I mean, I am, because मेरी तो जिद्दोजहद ही यही रही है कि मैं एक पैगाम अपना बस हर कलेक्शन में भी देखें. उमर ख़याम, खलील जिब्रान, रूमी इकबाल, चुगताई, मुग़ल आर्ट, आर्किटेक्चर, इस्लामिक कैलीग्राफी, क्या कुछ किया है. मतलब सारा कुछ एक और एक ऑब्सेसिव बंदे की तरह. जब मैं एक जर्नी पे शुरू हो जाती हूँ, फिर मुझे कोई रोक नहीं सकता.
So you're ready to write your
book? अल्लाह के.
So you're ready to write your book?
Yes, yes.
And I really wish you.
I write well. I hope I can start, but time ही नहीं निकलता.
Where do you see yourself, like in next 5-10 years?
You know Samina Ahmed, the journalist. She took my interview she came and stayed with me for 2.5 days, and for Herald. It's a beautifully written piece. I'll show it to you sometimes. And it's called Destiny's Child. So believe me, I've not mapped my journey. I want to do things. I don't know कहाँ जाऊँगी, कहाँ क्या करूँगी, पर कुछ ना कुछ करते रहेंगे. कुछ ऐसी कुछ अपने जो यहाँ से निकलता है ना, बस उसी का मज़ा है. फिर उसी के पीछे बंदा एक जुनून में चला रहता है. Then my last collection was on Rembrandt, the Dutch artist. And I was standing at the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, and I stood in front of his spiritual paintings, and there was one called Prophet Jeremiah lamenting the burning of Jerusalem. I looked at his face and the lines and the way he's sitting, पीछे आग थोड़ी सी दूर नजर. I don't know what happened to me, Samina. I just stood fixated over there. तो मेरा भाई साथ था, उसने कहा चलो आगे चलो, कुछ और भी देखो. मैंने कहा no, I don't want to see anything else. And believe it or not, when I read about Rembrandt and I was doing my research, and I became more and more obsessed because of the rebel he was, and I could somehow relate with him because I am quite a rebel in my own way.
Because वो जो light का concept नहीं था ना, shade का, वहाँ तब नहीं था. Everything was so flat. You know, single dimensional. And then
they study Rembrandt lighting. If any of you is plays a photographer, they still study Rembrandt lighting in Hollywood or wherever. Yeah. And it is so recognized. They have clubs and organizations who are doing research. फिर वो मैंने कुछ 6 साल बाद वो collection बनाई. I tell you, paying tribute to him was one of the biggest challenges, because he's the grandmaster. And
the colors. And the colors
only
he used.
9 colors he used.
Yes.
And he painted the canvas black, dark, and then he painted on it without a single sketch.
Wow.
कोई sketch नहीं बनता था. He was just paint. So they do the X-ray research वगैरह करते हैं ना, and they see no sketch. He just painted.
So who are you researching on now?
I'm contemplating some things. I have कुछ मुझे है interest है अभी. Actually कुछ avenues ढूंढ भी रही हूँ इस वक्त पाकिस्तान के लिए. कोई हमारी going back into time, like maybe 9,000 years BC, 5,000 years.
So BC. I have something for you.
Huh.
I will come and discuss it.
You have to.
Yes.
You have been given me a lot of inspiration in my life, and dressing you up was such a pleasure.
It was such a pleasure to wear
I still
your
have
clothes.
that picture on an easel
Yeah.
with you sitting in the Sheikhupura fort with the maroon
Well,
outfit,
before
the
I
velvet.
met you, I was more of a tomboy, very honestly. No frills, no embroidery, nothing, no laces. You brought, I think, the femininity in me. You discovered that, and you gave me the frills, the the pastels.
And how I drew you into that. I don't know how, but then you would sit with me and discuss the nuances of a
Yeah.
garment and how
I
ye
think
karle,
we should collaborate again. है ना?
I think it should be
we
great.
should, yes.
I think the next venture must. You're so intellectually
thank you so
evolved, and it would be a pleasure.
Thank you, my dearest.
Thank you.
It
It was
has been such a
lovely,
pleasure.
lovely.